Hi, I'm David, and I'm going to be reviewing Edgedancer by Brandon Sanderson. This book is a part of the larger series called the Stormlight Archive, which the author currently is still writing, and that he says himself will be 10 books in length. The books are very massive, large books that are each 1,000 pages. But this book you'll find is slightly different than that. It's a shorter novella, as well as it doesn't really fit into the numbers. So, for instance, the first book is The Way of Kings, the second book is Words of Radiance, and the third book is Oathbringer. And this book lies right between the second and third book. It actually comes from Words of Radiance, actually. And the way the author, I find, likes to write is he likes to write these big books and just kind of develop the story and tell you the story, but once in a while he likes to take breaks in them and just kind of tell you about other parts and other things that are happening in the country, the big world of Roshar, and other parts, especially to the west, and more about these cultures and these different characters that he's developing that I think probably will have a bigger part and play in this whole larger story. And this book comes from a chapter he has on this character, and he kind of just took that chapter, put it in the beginning of this book, and then just kind of developed this short little story out of it, which is really a awesome mystery kind of a story. And if you have not actually read the series, you might feel a little lost about the world itself and the characters that this author builds. And I also would say that it also, to me, has a lot of spoilers. If you haven't read the first two books, I would recommend, if you want to read the series, go and read them first. And if you have read the series already, you might not have to read this book if you don't want to, but I would say that you're missing out on something. This book really tells you more about the world and the characters, a lot more of what's going on in different places. And I think it probably will be more in the future. This book really takes place in the west of Roshar, whereas all the others of the books of the series so far, you really found mostly the author was talking about and explaining in depth the east and all the huge events that are happening over there. And so it kind of takes a break from that and kind of shares and shows you more of what's going on. And I kind of really like this. I'd like to have more of this, of the west. And the character it really follows is Lift, a young girl who, she's Reshi, but she grew up in Raut Elorum. But this book really takes place with her way far to the south in a country called Azur, in the city of Ezimur. And this character is really a light, simple, joking, humorous kind of a character, very childlike in the way she thinks, in a really an adult, serious world. And she has a companion. She doesn't really have, her parents aren't around, she's on her own, but she has this companion that no one else can see called Windle. And this companion is not a human. It's some kind of creature that's like a vine, that the way he even walks is he grows. He doesn't really walk, he grows. If he talks, his mouth grows. And it's a really interesting character that she kind of uses in a sense to climb, she needs to get someplace. Or she also personally has abilities, special abilities of her own, kind of like magical powers or superhero-like powers. That it's kind of like she's able to slick and slide around. And because of this, it makes really good skill. She's part of this thieving group. And she's kind of their special weapon. And the book starts off on a certain night where they're trying to get into this palace, and she kind of gets them in. These thieves are really trying to steal only basically enough for a few years, which is a lot, but not too much, so that they get caught and get killed. Whereas she's even funny, even simpler. She just wants food, basically. That's all she's thinking about, how hungry she is. And it kind of makes sense. She kind of feeds on food for her ability. Now, in the meantime, though, what's going on in the events of the palace itself is that they're electing a new prime, which is basically an emperor, because the last one was assassinated. And so it's on purpose. They're trying to break in to this palace while they're just busy with these activities that's all going around. In the meantime, while they're trying to steal, this other kind of scary kind of figure comes in, she calls him Darkness. She doesn't really know who he is, but he's been following her and hunting her across different countries and places she's gone. And he the book really takes a lot explaining about his eyes and the way he looks. It's very scary. She's scared of him because he's trying to actually kill her. And he's there at the palace at the same time as she's there. And she's just her trying to get away. But the way she takes these events is more in a sense of, it's lighthearted, but she sees the fear of these events and they're life-threatening, but she kind of takes them in a very relaxed kind of manner. I kind of like this character, the way she just kind of moves around in this book. The book then leaves this place. The character goes on to the country of Tashik in the city of Yadao. Here, it's really a cool place. The city is really carved into these crevices. And down below these crevices are these roads and this roadway, this network. And inside the walls, underground, they carve in houses, these buildings. The only thing that's really above the ground in this entire city is that the center, where they kind of store their information. And she enters the city, and she comes across different characters, but really, she's actually, you find, she's looking for darkness. She knows darkness went there. And it kind of changes things around, where she's actually looking for him instead of him looking for her, because he's looking for other characters that are like her and trying to basically kill them when they have these abilities. And she's trying to figure out and help those other characters and doesn't know who these other characters even are in this entire city. And she's kind of just moving around this place and coming across different characters. She goes to this orphanage. She's trying to survive, which is interesting because before she was trying to have she always wanted food. It was all about that. And now suddenly she purposely goes to this place and away from a place of plenty to really, basically in a sense, suffer, not having only have a certain amount of meals. And there's a whole mystery of these characters she meets and different things that are going on in these city streets and what's coming in the air, the storms. And I found that you felt like you thought you had some of the stuff figured out, but when you come to the end, you really think, wow, like you really didn't really figure it all out. And there's this big epic conclusion, which if you know the author, Brandon Sanderson, he's really known for this in his books. I found this book to be an actual easy read in a sense, but on the same token, it has a lot of content really to soak in. And when I got to the end, I just kind of took a lot of time just looking back, thinking back and reflecting on it and how it goes and fits into the rest of the world and the other books of the series. And I really feel like the author himself really especially enjoyed this character, just developing her and just going along, just seeing where she goes with her personality that's very, very different from characters I've really seen in any other books. I really highly recommend this book as well as the whole series itself of the Stormlight Archive. It's really, if you're into epic fantasy books, this is the series for you. If you enjoyed watching this, I have other videos that you can go check out, as well as I'll be posting more. So please hit that like button and subscribe.